Coincidentally, this drab brick wall filled to the brim with horrible bugs, actually a pretty good representation of modern-day Konami. Super Castlevania 4 was ahead of its time, you see. By the way, this is Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and this is a reimagining of the first Castlevania game. Now, I think the original game is the canon one and this isn't, but this one looks and plays better and also has extra stages, so I much preferred this version of the game. It's also my second favorite platformer Castlevania game, right after Castlevania Bloodlines. And of course the plot is fairly simple, like pretty much any given Castlevania game. Looks like that darn Dracula is escaping death yet again. Look at him fly away, what a jerk. We hate that guy, right guys? Yeah. Screw Count Dracula, nobody likes that guy. Which begs the question, why does he have a grave if he revives every 100 years and nobody actually likes the guy except some weird cultists? I mean, personally, I'd just chuck his bones in some ditch, bury him, and, just leave it at that. Nobody has to think about bringing Count Dracula back early. Nobody has to worry about really looking in his grave, because I doubt anybody cares anyway. However, though, it is the 100th year, and Dracula's rising from the grave no matter what. So, we're gonna have a Belmont stop him. For those of you who don't know, the Belmonts are a family of vampire hunters in the Castlevania series, and this bit of information isn't really important in pretty much any given game, but every time there's a Belmont vampire hunter, they're actually more powerful than the previous vampire hunter, so we are playing as Simon Belmont in this game, and although he is probably the most well-known and iconic Belmont, he's kind of in the middle of the timeline, so he's a bit average in terms of actual strength. I mean, he's stronger than the other Belmonts that came before him, but there are a fair few after him. Still though, despite that, Simon also gets 2 games as well, so, well, 2 main series games anyway, so he's got quite a few wacky adventures where he has to take down that darn Count Dracula. I think there was also an actor, Simon Belmont, in like some Castlevania Choose Your Own Adventure book or something like that? I think that's it, but yeah, he was filming a movie, well, he was in a movie about beating up Dracula, but then he actually accidentally revives the real Dracula, so he has to go stop him there. It's weird, I don't know. And yes, we only have our whip and courage, also some sub-weapons that we find around, and candles, and from time to time some wall meat, but other than that, we have nothing else. So, Super Castlevania 4, unlike the original Castlevania, we don't start in Castlevania. Nonetheless, once you enter your name, you do get this little intro sequence, but we are pretty far away from the castle itself. Now, this first stage here, I think, is just like the ruined mansion or something like that, but, personally, I think it's actually a town called Yomi, and we'll get into more of that later. It could be a few towns, but it doesn't really matter what town it is too much. We do have a pretty good start to this stage. Like that giant skull mount in the background, that's pretty great. Nope, drawbridge is coming up, let's jump in here. And now, we have the theme of Simon Belmont, which is probably my favorite Castlevania song in the series. It does recur a few times, not as much so as Vampire Killer or Bloody Tears, which are my other favorites. And when it comes to frequently reoccurring songs, I think Vampire Killer's my favorite, Bloody Tears being second, but Theme of Simon Belmont is fantastic, and this is a great intro, because I love that sort of moody start to it. It's all desolate, no enemies, just the intimidating background, no music, and then this starts, and now we're just beating up skeletons, whipping bats. It's pretty great, and this is going to play for the rest of the stage. So yeah, pretty great start. Simon's not my favorite Belmont, but damn, he knows how to make an entrance. Seriously, who would not want to start kicking ass to this theme? It's pretty great. By the way, we've picked up 2 different sub-weapons. The first one is the knife, which I don't think anyone likes. It's just a very small throwing weapon that you throw it straight, and that's pretty much it. Doesn't really have much of a good hitbox, and normally when you use up a certain amount of hearts, which, by the way, those hearts that drop are your ammo, normally, well, sometimes, different sub-weapons take up different amounts of hearts. But if you haven't noticed, I've been using the cross, which normally takes up a fair few hearts actually, but it only takes up one, so yeah, no problem here, so the knife is even more worthless. That, by the way, was invincibility. Pick that up, and yeah, we're flashing a whole lot, and it means we don't get hit. It's kind of awkward just watching you flash, so it's kind of hard to tell how much invincibility you actually have. We won't be getting that too often, though. But yeah, the cross is a lot better because it acts as a boomerang. It's very good for getting multi-hits if you hit the enemy in the right way. They can, of course, walk out of it, but if you get them just as the boomerang turns around, then you can deal a lot of damage. Oh yeah, and by the way, that guy over there who's trying to reach over, yeah, he's pretty great. That's called a clubbing knight. I love their names. That's actually not a knight with a club, he is just out for a night on the town, and he's in for a good time. It's just a coincidence that he has a club as a weapon. Now, we also saw the axe back there. That's an arcing weapon. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's very good for hitting things that are above you, and yeah, it is a pretty good damage dealer too. The arc also helps, but I'm still certain that cross is my favorite weapon. Sub-weapon, rather. We also got that little 2, which means we can throw 2 crosses now. Which, that's pretty great. Oh yeah, and by the way, unlike certain other Castlevania games, you can use your whip in a lot of different directions. Left, right, up, and also you can kind of awkwardly wiggle it around, too. That back there was a holy water, which used to be my favorite Castlevania sub-weapon. It is also good for multi-hits, but only for ground-based enemies. You kind of throw it in a small arc, not as much as the axe, it won't go that high, but basically it will do continuous damage on the ground for as long as it lasts there. Thing is though, there are a lot of aerial enemies in Castlevania, and cross is good for both ground and aerial enemies, so I think it's a lot better. Also, those horsehead enemies are called Mr. Head, H-E-D, so yeah, it's a Mr. Head joke. I'm pretty sure these are the translated names, and honestly, they're pretty fantastic. The enemies aren't, though, just because they respawn, and I don't like their respawn, though. To be fair, those guys don't seem to be bothering me. It was just that other guy who tried to trick me. What a jerk, that guy. Honestly. Ooh, that's the pocket watch. That'll stop time for a few seconds. Ooh, that's a Medusa head. Now, the sucky part about those enemies is they're positioned over those little platforms. See the ones like the one I just walked over? If you jump on top of those, they'll spin around and send you careening into the pit, which of course is death. Even though we know there's ground down there, it'll still kill ya. So be very wary about those platforms, and I'm not picking up the dagger, because like I said, dagger sucks. It's not even good for conserving hearts in this game. I wanted to say MP, but they're hearts. Also, if you didn't notice, the tiny hearts give you 1 heart, those hearts give you 5. And thankfully you have a second before you actually get sent into the abyss, because otherwise, that could have ended very badly for Simon. And of course, the different sizes of chicken you get also affect how much health you get back. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to get hit much during this, but that of course is a small health refill. And the ones you find in walls, the large ones, they are, I think, either full or half-filling HP. This is the first boss of the game. This guy is Rodane. He's got a skeletal horse. Well, now he doesn't. And now he's going to try to dragoon us by jumping on top of us. He moves very slowly, though he does have some really good range with that lance. He also tries to fake you out in the end by exploding, but yeah, that just gives you time to position yourself to hit him one last time, and I love that jingle. And that's it for Stage 1. Next time, we continue our march towards Castlevania.